we were teased with a fourth party member last time. So let's actually go and get one today. The only place we haven't gone to yet is Hurley, officially. And the first time you're able to do this is right after the events of Click. So you could, again, skip Mars and go right here and talk with this duo. These haven't even caught up Xine. If you even remember back in the drifts, there was the sign about a danger of a dragon. Maybe not, but we're gonna figure out what's going on there anyways. Now, this is being our first time in Hurley, technically. We should actually poke around and get some things before we go, because officially we have not seen our wonderful dealer, the Lord of the Turtles. Wonderful title to give yourself, dude. If anything, I'm going to be actually needing some healing items at this point, because once you hit Hurley, the game world changes on you. And by that, I mean, well, a difficulty spike. Also need to get to the skill guild. We need our skills here. This is a very terrible business strategy where it's like, hey, here's some skills that you can purchase for one time, and then never come and see us ever again. It's like old-timey business. Remember that chair you were able to buy that would just last you the rest of your life? Because yeah, with Hurley, you could just head onto the boat for the next continent. Also, very strange word of the use of Moida. They were really playing around with the translation at times. What's the decision? Couldn't tell ya. Being back in Salva, though, there are some extra NPCs kind of floating around in the immediate area, and also in the bar. The bar has been completely transformed as to who is in here. It's not the workers of the mine, it's a whole bunch of soldiers. Or, sorry, fighting man. All of these people who are alive, but was not successful at actually defeating the dragon. Yes, look at the bar. It's so full. Look at how full the bar is. Look at all of the seats that are taken up. Well, it's fine. I get it. There's only one bartender. You're working alone. You're going to have a hard cap on the amount of people that you can have in the building for your own sanity. Well, 3 people with mismatching outfits. I think we're going to be the ones that are the most capable of doing the job. And they really just put in the energy that fighting a dragon is just like a sport, almost. Come back when you've had enough. Like, kind of silly that way. It really doesn't make tension happen. Now, when I said that the game world changed and increased the difficulty, this is the first opportunity for actually seeing that. The world map still has the old enemies that are super, super easy to fight. But the Salva Drift, the enemies are different. Now we can actually go to the Dragon's Nest because, well, that's the reason why we're here. Every other time you would go here, it's like, we have no reason to go this direction.
They look pretty tough.
Stay focused.
So here's the problem. Because the enemies have increased in difficulty, we really need to be careful because we haven't gotten into too many fights. So at this point, we're pretty under-leveled. And just see what happened there. Talked about last time in that book from Mars about the capability of combining spells together. And this is something that you're able to play around with yourself manually because, yeah, if you have two spellcasters and both of those spells go off at the exact same time, a reaction can. Depending on the spell, though, different reactions can happen. They can double the attack, so pretty much two rays that happen at the exact same time. You could also have one spell cancel out the effects of another spell, depending on how strong that spell is. And if they're in the same, shall we say, elemental lineup. We'll also see an example of that today. Or it also happens with enemies as well. Enemy with another enemy, which is extremely rare to happen, but it more happens with an enemy and you casting a spell at the same time. Now, just because I haven't done this yet officially, now I can actually put some points into Perseverance for later skill growth. Kind of the only one I can do it, though, because in order to max out Perseverance, you need 80, and if anybody doesn't have skill points, it's Xine. Yeah, I think she's gotten like a couple levels, but that's it. So yeah, we need to do some grinding.
The enemy.
Better be careful.
There are some combinations of enemies that are just something that you're going to have to run away from, depending on how confident you feel that you are. This one's pretty decent, although I will say the hourglass enemies can be a little bit annoying to hit. Because they like to shoot the sand that is inside of themselves at you, and will move away from your attack, and the timing is just perfect for them to just get a clean shot at you if you're not fortunate enough in order to deal with that. Not a great camera angle for this combination. So the thing that happened there was Rena cast Ray, Xine cast Starlight. Starlight is the more powerful version, technically, of Ray. Oh, we got Energy Sword Claude. Talk about that a little bit later. Because Celine's spell is stronger than Rena's, it actually will fire and have its effects fire more than Ray does, but it will get Ray's kind of magic attack and boost Starlight's capability. That is to say, Starlight becomes stronger because Ray was also used at the same time. The western part of the Salva Drift is relatively small when it comes to exactly where you need to go, but it does have really, let's see, roundabout map design in order to make it feel big. You're not teleporting away from me.
Looks like we won.
Because yeah, if you're wanting to get all the chests in the area, you do have to go on a roundabout way in order to get them all. The man! Well, let's go the direction that he came from to see what's up here. Oh, chests. Wonderful. Again, nothing substantial, but you know, every little bit helps. Golden earring can kind of be helpful, but there's better accessories at this point too. And yeah, that last screen is just there for a bunch of treasure chests, and it loops around back to the next screen, and yeah, now we can follow where that guy went.
Heads up.
Be careful.
This can be a little bit of a problem combination if you are underleveled, because one, the wolves can poison you, and two, you have the Beastmaster, who is the lady with the whip, who can kind of control what the wolves do. She has an ability called Sick'em, which supposedly does something, but I couldn't tell you exactly what it does, other than retargets the wolves. It's more important to get rid of the Beastmaster first, even though the wolves, when there's both of them,
Are you okay?
are much, much stronger. So it's like, okay, they're both threatening. Ooh, delay. Delay can be a helpful ability, but I will say that Rena's AI loves using delay even though it won't do anything. Yeah, there's a save point here. There's a reason for that. What I really think they could have done with this part of the salvage rift is have just a couple more NPCs just kind of like going around there, or just kind of being in a spot going like, I'm a little bit injured and I'm having trouble I'm like just resting here. But if you get into the battle dimension, it will be so much wider. No, they're just going to be the peanut gallery. And they are one amalgamation, judging by the whole amount of toiling that the dragon is doing over there. It is two heads. What a riveting battle! You think they would have, like, breathed fire or shot ice. But no. This is a gentleman's duel. Apparently. Surprise, it can move. Well, our job is done here. I don't know. Would you just, like, immediately explain it? How would you go? But what would you do in this situation? Rough thing to explain until, you know, the dragon heads come up in front of you and go, hey, what's up? And it would help if there was any sort of music here, and there just isn't. Not for a bit. What about them? That's, I don't know, I'm on the boat that's pretty awesome. Well, sorry about that. Sorry we became an audience and you didn't want one, I guess. He sounds like a really weird teacher. Like, especially when he just, like, demeans himself. He's damaged goods because he has 2 dragons attached to him now. I'm like, I don't know. That's a perk in some cases. But hey, are we going to take accountability for this? You have the option. Take responsibility or don't. We were told to cooperate with you, and we didn't really do that. And so, he joins us. Ah, the music's back. And so we get a fan favorite character, Ashton Anchors. When you learn more about Ashton, he just kind of grows on you there. But at the very beginning of this, he's kind of a tough sell. Ashton becomes our 4th party member. Look at his face. Look at everything that he has to deal with. And I just want to put in the official picture because it does get cut off, so you don't see our frost dragon over on the right. He gets cut off there. He likes writing, and ironically, he's a love of animals. Apparently, dragons are not animals. I guess they're not, because we'll learn that they are more akin to demons in this world than they are animals.
Heads up.
Be careful.
So the thing about Ashton is,
Reflection.
again, he's a tough sell. When you learn more about him, when you use him a little bit more, he grows on you. Because when you get him at the very first here, he's a twin sword user, which kind of in the early 2000s era, twin swords were pretty cool. But the thing is, his abilities are really lacking at the start. He's a great endgame character once you keep using him. But for the first little bit, he's really slow. He feels really slow, at least. Now, the thing is, when we take responsibility, we just get him. But what happens if we don't? Because we could say, hey, you turned your back on the dragon and this happened. Like, this is our opportunity to get a 4th party member, and you can just have this scene and say, hey, no fault of ours. Yeah, it was your fault that you got distracted by us. Now you got those 2 silly guys. What a ridiculous idea of going like, oh, he's distracted by the 2 dragons, run! And literally, you can do just that. We have better things to do. What were we supposed to do again? We keep forgetting. So from here, you have 2 options you can do here. One, you can completely leave the Salva drift and Salva entirely. And when you do that, when you get to the world map, and you turn around and go back into Salva, everything changes back to normal. All of the dragon slayers are gone, and the guard is gone, the soldier's gone, and Ashton, if you head back in, he will also be gone. So you can see the scene, you can not take responsibility, and run like cowards, and yeah, you lose out on the ability of getting Ashton. But what happens if you run back? At that moment. He's still there. So you get into a really awkward conversation. And he kind of just like forces himself upon you and you get a really rough introduction with him there. We'll be together a long time. And weirdly, we get the character joining Jingle, which we didn't get when we took responsibility. Because regardless if you take responsibility or not, if you come back into the screen there,
Heads up.
Ready, Ururun?
he is a permanent party member, as far as I'm aware, unless there's some very specific circumstances around taking responsibility. Now I'm showing this fight because the gelatinous cubes here, the gelatin cubes, literally, they can be very dangerous. And why that is because of what they can produce from themselves. You might be able to see it on the battlefield. That big, huge purple circle of bubbles and waves that come out of it. Those can hit from multiple times and can potentially one-shot party members if they are too close to the radius of their area there. And they cover nearly the entire battlefield. So even the people who are way off in the corner are almost not spared. Ashton almost took a beating there. So with that, we can get out. So this happens whether or not we take responsibility or not. As long as we get him, we'll get our next steps as to what to do. Now, why I said he was a permanent party member is because whatever happens next is technically a side quest. Like, you could just go back to Hurley and just get on the boat and head off. You don't have to do this next part, as far as I'm aware. Oh, Rena, the first problem with getting rid of something is you don't get attached to them. Second problem, do not name the thing that you're getting rid of. Rena, have you never seen a farm before? You don't name the animals, it's harder to do what needs to happen with those animals. And the original translation doesn't even bother translating the names of the dragons, which honestly, I feel like it was I kind of agree with that option. Because if you know the official English names of the two dragons, you kind of get disappointed that they're not cooler names. Like, Gyoro and Ururun are just overall better. Just leaving them as there is. Because the English names of literally Creepy and Weepy, based on Rena's description of the eyes, are not great names. Not a fan. Where are we going to find a library? We do need to learn about how to exorcise demons and exorcisms. So we're pretty much just looking for a library. And if it's going to be something magical, we're going to head back to the village of Mars and back to the bookcases that are in the back of his house. And yeah, you can still see the text message, oh my god, the text box of, yeah, the people from Click are being relocated and taken as refugees. If you check the bookcase here, they're pretty much the same except for one additional book that we can look at. Literally, the Book of Exorcism. Kind of spelling it out there. Peruse, you say? Okay. Weird sticking point for me. Why is Claude, of all people, reading it? Because, again, missing the plot Claude isn't from here. He's not from the planet. So how would he be able to read the text that is in front of him compared to the other three who are from this planet and this continent and should know the actual text? I don't know. It feels like an odd decision that Claude should read it. I think it would almost be better if there was a moment of, Claude, do you want to read it? And him just like going like, no, I'm okay. Because that would actually like help overall story-wise. At least this little scene gives us a little bit more world building. Like we have a lake that we're able to go to by name, and there's the place near it, the Mountain Palace. Which I technically have already been to. It's lovely that the book just kind of spells out the steps that we need to do. We must go and get the silver goblet from the Mountain Palace, and then from the goblet we need to fill it with the tears of the king, and most likely the tears are going to come from the Laskus Mountains because there is a giant demon bird there. Fight the king of the sky, get the tears, and then we need to return to Salva, to where the place where the event happened, and chant the magic spell. And it's not going to be a clean exorcism. It's going to torment Gyoro and Orylen, unfortunately. Well, it is an exorcism. Honestly, not really, Ashton. Like, you gotta have to own it. Yeah, when have you ever heard of an exorcism where you're able to remove one thing from another thing and everything kind of goes back to normal? Kind of not how exorcisms work. The little buggers. Something fun about calling two dragons buggers. It feels like Ashton is playing to me and the audience at this point. Like, hey, you support me, right? These three chumps don't. Because you didn't know him without Gyoro and Orylen. If you keep looking for sympathy points, the fewer and fewer you're gonna get. So that means we have a dungeon to get to. So as we're heading up, this is the direction of Click. And you're able to just kind of go west off of the path there to a really daunting red screen, which I've never understood why it decides to go all sunset red. And I did want to show off this unique battle screen there. If we were here longer, we would be able to see the boulders that come down the hill as an environmental hazard, which we can be hurt by. But again, the world map enemies are just the same. They don't get upgraded like in the Salva Drift. The reason I've been here before is that I pilfered those two chests. That was how I was able to get some accessories. Unfortunately, we can't go any further. We need to go all the way back to Cross and get permission. Fine, let's go and see the king. But before we do that, because we just got Ashton, we might as well get a little bit of kit for him that's going to be super helpful. His levels are one thing, but equipment is another. We can get the smaller, which I never enjoyed the name of this weapon, and purchase it for 2,000. It is a good investment because it pretty much doubles Ashton's attack power. Like, yeah. And we can also get a little bit more defense for him. Helpful too. Alright, now let's go and see the king. Hi, gargoyles. I love your model. Here we go. God, you want to speak to the king again? Alright, fine. Go to the staircase. Now, the first audience with the king made sense. This one feels off. One, no one's reacting to Ashton whatsoever. So I don't know why Ashton's making a hissy fit. Tell me, I cannot see this man. Well, you know, guy here with 2 dragons on his back. It's like, oh, I see. What a conundrum. Not, oh my god! What do you mean you can't refuse? I'm sure you could. But also, he also says to them, hey, you might die in there, but take care, you know? Again, it feels so passive. Also, we get money for this. I'm like, okay, thank you for having this audience with me. Here's 3,000 gold. Full. Oh, boy. So, you know, that pays for Ashton's equipment, at least. With a little bit of profit on top of it.
Oh, it's just them. Here I go. Yeah!
This is just fun. Oh god, I love head splitters so much when it comes to traveling across the screen. So good. Anyway, back to the Mountain Palace. Now we have the permission in the form of nothing, really. He didn't really give us like a pass or a slip or anything like that. But the soldier is actually really, really convenient. Because the Mountain Palace really doesn't have too much in terms of supplies or anything like that. But he is a free inn whenever you go back to the entrance there. I love this dungeon music. Really, it's just a really good jam.
This is tough.
So, the Mountain Palace
Leaf slash.
is... let's say it's underwhelming. It's a little bit dull, let's just say that. When it comes to the enemies that are in here, they're kind of at the same level, maybe a little bit higher than it was at the Salva Drift when it's upgraded. So it really kind of gets into what kind of skill you have and what you're able to do with all of your characters there. Like, for instance, Rena will occasionally cast Energy Net, which in the early game is good for stunning regular enemies, but it really falls apart much later on in the game, and it's better turning it off so that Rena never uses it, because it's a waste of energy. But the Mountain Palace is really just kind of this, not so much a maze, but it really feels like one. Just kind of repeated hallways that you're able to just kind of loop and meander around. And it's also definitely the largest dungeon that we have seen so far. The reason why it's so large is actually a reason. It's because it's here for not just the purpose of Ashton's side quest, but also another side quest, which, because we're doing Ashton's side quest, we don't get the context for the other side. In fact, when we're here, the first thing we're actually doing is not going in the direction of Ashton's area at all. We're going into the second one. Because even though we don't have context and the other side can't be done, we can still get the treasure.
See now.
Super helpful.
Air slash!
Energy arrow!
There's bits and pieces of Ashton's
You do the rest.
Energy
battle sprite that I just really enjoy seeing. And it's not just because of Ashton, it's because of Gero and Orylen. Because the sprites give them so much personality. The other problem with Ashton, like I mentioned, is that he feels slow to play. And that's because his initial skills like Cross Slash and Leaf Slash, when you get it, once you level him up a bit, again, they are just slow. So there's a lot of window of opportunity for enemies to just get in there and just peg him. Ah, yes. A really good piece of equipment there, the Emerald Ring. Now, the thing with the Emerald Ring, which I'm actually going to put on Ashton because he keeps bleeding MP, is whenever you put it on anybody, it reduces their MP consumption by 2/3 to 2/3 of its normal rate. So 1/3 off. And the other problem with doing equipment with the accessories is every time you have to put on a different accessory, it automatically turns off the equipment wizard. Which is annoying because the equipment wizard doesn't
Where?
do anything for accessories when you pick them up. And why would it in terms of programming? I don't know. It's super annoying, especially when you want to keep the equipment wizard on. Just a
You're
nice
too easy.
quality of life thing for so early of an RPG. Got a good initial hook, this song. Coming down to that guitar loop.
Here's the enemy. Better be careful.
If there's any enemies that are in the Mountain Palace that you're probably wanting to get the most, it's these slimes. Because the nice thing about them is that they are slow. They are big, so they're easy to hit. Less opportunity to miss. And even though they have more HP than some of the other enemies, that doesn't really matter all too much because, well, you have all your skills, you're able to move a whole lot more than they are, and you can just spam attack over and over and over. Really no problem there.
You're too easy.
Ashton really loves to use Leaf Slash if he has nothing else that really is effective. But the thing with Leaf Slash is, it is a good ability, but its main drawback is that it is slow to start. But when it makes its target, then it's really good because a lot of the time, Ashton isn't able to be hit at all until at least the end. This is such a strange room to me. It's like, welcome to the Mountain Palace. Well, we got some bed chambers here. I guess there technically was a throne room. We don't get too much extra information about what the Mountain Palace even was. We just have those two names. Just those two words. Mountain and Palace. Put pin heels on. Yeah, I'm gonna put back on the equipment wizard for everybody. Yeah, Claude doesn't even have any equipment anymore, accessories anymore. You might as well have a reverse doll. Nothing new for Rena in terms of her knuckles. Alright. Put some boots on her at least. Just like anything is better than nothing. And it allows me to hear the music more. Ooh. Like, that screen there is just daunting, and then you get past it, and then you have to do a whole bunch more, and you end into Secret Laboratory. Look at a skeleton and a capsule. This is a room that we will be seeing again much, much later. But for now, it has no context to us. Just 3 treasure chests, and we will be on our way. That's pretty much it. Kind of a shame that they really don't say anything about this when we're just like randomly exploring, of going like, what's here? What's happening in there? Because the only context I'll give right now is that it was in recent use. That's all I'll say about it. So now that we've done one half of the Mountain Palace, the half that has nothing to do with us, now we can do the second half. Before we do that, we got to go through a whole bunch of different parts here. And we're going to just take a rest all the way back as the soldier can make sure that our wounds are healed. He also mentions that we have the risk of being paralyzed and petrified by enemies that are in here. But I'll just tell you, I never experienced that. He really expects you to just like, okay, you're going to be paralyzed and petrified in here. Be prepared to have those healing items, Cure Paralysis and Cure Stone, just ready to go. But I've never experienced that. I just experienced death. Again, all these long hallways that are constantly lit. At least that's nice. Perpetual fire. And the other thing about the Mountain Palace is, I don't know if it's just coincidence, it probably just is, but when it comes to when the random encounters activate, they usually activate at near the, how should I put it? The entryway to the next screen. That's usually when it hits. And it's just so odd that it kind of works that way. I don't know what kind of programming language is actually happening in the back that makes it kind of happen that way, but again, it's probably just a coincidence just with me. Also, all of these just giant rooms that potentially happen.
The enemy. Ready, Ruru?
Alright, so, if there's, like I said with the Salva Drift, if there's any combination of enemies that are probably going to be very dangerous to you, it's probably going to be these ones. Because again, we have more wolves. The wolves seem to be just very dangerous at this point, because they can take off like 500 points damage if left unchecked. But they also have the archers in tow. The archers, well, 150 at least to Claude. Oh, Ashton's dead. Great. The archers, on the other hand, are more threatening. And the reason for that is just because of their ability to shoot multiple arrows at once.
I guess that's it.
Great that Windblade was able to take out that archer, because the archers are kind of glass cannons. You really just need to hit them once, and then have a spell, just hit them, and then you're kind of all good to go there. Fortunately, though, I do need to get Ashton back. Let's do that. I'm not going to waste my resurrection bottles, because it's more helpful when I'm dealing with like more important battles than just random archers shooting him dead. There it is. The silver goblet. Not looking so silver, but whatever. And finally, some better equipment for Rena. It's going to be helpful for her. Because potentially having those better knuckles does affect her spellcasting capabilities. Like, this is what it means by the sympathy of the devil. Sympathy for the devil. Because you kind of have more sympathy for Yoro and Uren than you do for the constant complainer that is Ashton. Now, remember, Ashton. This is what we need to do. Oh, we got a visitor. Rena, that's a wrong line. We didn't get it easily. If they were trying for sarcasm, it didn't work.
Stay focused. Beak slash.
All right, so a tiny bit of a boss. The Nightmare.
Beak slash.
The Nightmare is difficult to fight because for some reason she has this silly high evasion that happens there, where she can just avoid attacks whenever she feels like it. I guess with her womanly devilish charms? So it turns out Xine and Rena casting actual spells are going to be a lot more important to this whole thing than any sort of melee damage from Ashton and Claude. But you do kind of want to have control over both Ashton and Claude just to make sure that they're in positions that they can potentially do damage. Because, yeah, you don't want her to deal with the spellcasters at all. Energy Arrow is going to be the best way to deal with this. And if Rena is not healing, she's casting Ray just to interrupt the Nightmare.
You do the rest.
Oh boy. Okay, come on, Ashton. Also, I love when Celine casts Reflection, and she doesn't cast Reflection on the people who need it most, the actual sword fighters. Here's the other problem. We get to this point in the dungeon, and you probably want to save your MP healing abilities. So, kind of a neglected item that I just used was called the Fairy Glass. And the Fairy Glass, for, I want to say, it's either 90 seconds or it's 120 seconds. That character is able to use abilities without spending any MP. It's actually a really good item for longer fights. So really good for boss fights, especially when Ashton is just training his trick. Where is my resurrection bottles? There they are. 4. Hopefully they last. Alright. I need to switch over. Can you switch over? Probably do. Oh, she's using Magnum Tornado. I don't want her to use that. She does have some spells that can be very problematic, Magnum Tornado being one. So again, interrupting her at all points and just kind of flanking her and making sure you're not getting punched by her is also a problem. No, let's see. Yeah, I might as well use another blueberry just to top him up so he's not getting punched. But again, yeah, she has some silly evasion that's happening here. Oh, Fairy Glass ran out. Okay. Not an FMP. Should I use another one? I don't want to use another one personally. Like, the Fairy Glasses are really good. And, yeah, I'm going to use another one. Ah! Come on. Come on, Ashton. You gotta stay up. Gotta stay on your feet. Although, look at those two. Look at Goro sleep. They're just napping. Just napping. Doesn't care that Ashton's dead. Love that Ashton just got it resurrected and he just got punched in the face. Like, such disrespect. So yeah, with him being slow, it really just comes down to how his attacks go out, because he has to take his sword, put it back towards himself, and then swing it out. Which Claude kind of does too, but Claude is faster about it when it comes to his overall swing. Ashton feels more wooden in terms of his movements. So I guess that what makes him feel slower? Ow.
That was a good workout.
But if anything, Ashton needs more defense. anything. We get a healing ring from her at least. That's kind of a helpful thing. And we also get Dispel. Dispel is a super, super helpful spell because it can cure almost any ailment. So if we were getting petrified and paralyzed, Rena would be able to heal us without using precious items. I'm surprised Claude brings this up. The "we are the actual baddies" argument. But you know, when we have two demon dragons kind of tagging along, Oh, Ashton is the poor, unfortunate person. But you know, having two dragons attached to your back also means that, hey, you're kind of mind melded at this point too. So even though Orylen can't actually speak, Ashton could do the speaking for him. Why is dragons in parentheses? I am still fascinated by this overall translation because it feels so weird. So that overall is the Mountain Palace. Kind of dull in terms of what its design kind of is. Has some good screens and atmosphere here and there, but overall is just kind of like a meh. But also is rather, I want to use the word welcoming, because it has multiple save points inside of it. It has our wonderful soldier who's a free in, and a thing that I kind of skipped over is after you fight the nightmare, when you go back to the save point there, you are automatically fully healed after the fight, which doesn't happen for every single boss fight. I honestly do not know why it happens for this one. Just kind of a random kindness. So after going to the Mountain Palace, we're able to go to the part of Cross that has no purpose apart from side content. The western part of the continent. Wonderful fields, these wonderful mountains, which if you decided to wander off the beaten track and go into these mountains, they would probably kill you. Welcome to the Laskus Mountains.
What?
When did you...
Leaf slash.
The only reason why you would go into the Laskus Mountains is to fight these things, which I believe are called shouts. Just balloon enemies who, as far as I know, don't fight back. The only thing they can do is take away your MP so that you are not able to use your skills. But hey, we have Claude, we have Ashton, we technically have Rena who can punch them. So, when it comes to the Laskus Mountains, it is a completely optional area and really only has two reasons why you would be there. One is for Ashton's side quest. The other is for a private action. Or, you know, random curiosity. The other reason, I guess a fourth reason if you want to be very specific, is that if you want to level up really fast, yeah, you would come here. Hopefully you would be getting the shouts, and you would get 700 experience per character. At least when you have a party of 4. You would get more when you have less. The other problem, though, is, hey, it's got some pretty devastating enemies here, like a cockatrice and another one of those flying manta ray creatures. This is the place where you are potentially able to get petrified. But chances are, depending on your level, you're just going to be smashed to pieces and die. And yeah, not all spell combinations work out there. That's the other thing with the spell combination thing, and why I said last time that it felt like a happy accident. Because, yeah, you would have the possibility that we're going and jumping and being completely stupid with this. You would always have the opportunity of having multiple spellcasters just like fire their spells off at the exact same time. But what does that actually mean in terms of the game programming? And it feels like, yeah, they implemented a system where it would have some benefits, it would have some drawbacks, but they couldn't do it extensively. Because, yeah, you would have like a spell like Ray go off, but then immediately right afterwards was Energy Arrow, because those two spells are not compatible with one another. And yeah, not all spells are going to be compatible with one another, and what are you going to do? So yeah, you can leave to the other side of Lascas Mountains, and we get our first look at the continent of El. That is our ultimate destination there, which is just a really quick swim. Really quick swim.
What? Air slash! Cross slash! Whoa!
The only reason to come to this desert, apart from sightseeing, is, again, leveling, which is a terrible idea because you get even more powerful versions of the hourglasses from the Salva Drift. And, like I said, they love running away from you, and running away just enough for enemies to not be able, for you not to be able to hit them, but they can certainly hit you. So this is a bad situation. This is a terrible situation. How am I going to get out of this one? The other reason for you to go to the desert here and to the beaches on the west side of Cross is because there are... Oh boy. Well, I lost my reverse ball here. Is because there are versions of the worm enemies, and there is a chance they're able to drop the mineral Damascus, which we picked up one from the Mountain Palace, but you're able to get a whole lot more. And if you get Damascus and you're able to fiddle around with the skill system, which we still haven't really done, you are able to craft very powerful weapons and accessories and equipment very early in the game, making it super simple.
This is bad.
I still don't want to fight anything. So hopefully, Rena does have the purple mist, so she's able to escape a lot quicker than anybody else. I'm just gonna have to deal with it. And with the world map there, I kind of noticed that section in the southwest corner. There is one glowing dot there. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If you know what's there, you know. But this is our first chance to actually see it. Sort of. I'm just gonna have fun. I'm just gonna have fun. Let's press the bandits. Not all of the enemies in this area are completely deadly, so we're just gonna have Rena press them. Bye.
That was close.
10 tons of power. Let's get out of here. This is a terrible place to be. It's a silly place. Why is it here? No other reason than for giggles. Now I have to go all the way back to Cross or Salva in order to rest up and resurrect everybody, and now we can go and hopefully
I won't lose.
get deeper into the mountains.
Cross slash.
Except we also have this spellcaster there. The bugbear over there is easier to deal with.
Energy arrow!
But yeah, the mage, a little bit tougher. It's not like the mage in the Heraldry Forest. Has a little bit more HP to her,
Unexpectedly weak.
but has the spell Bloodsucker. Bloodsucker is an interesting spell because it's the first opportunity to see an enemy to friend spell combination. Depending on the spell, Bloodsucker can either do a little bit of a benefit or be no benefit at all. They also have the ability Eruption, which is the second level spell to Fireball. You don't want them to cast Eruption. It's a bad idea. Bloodsucker is the ability to take HP and heal themselves with it. The knights can be annoying, especially when they get on either side of you. So at this point, Ashton is in a bit of a problem area. He might die again. I want to do a little bit about it because... Okay. As long as you can do that, be cool, Ashton, be cool. Yeah, if I could do Leaf Slash and get that connection there, he will be a little bit more safe. Lovely. Come on down to Earth, Cloud. Not Cloud, Claude. Second story did come out after Final Fantasy VII. We need to make another name. Now, the thing with the Laskus Mountains is that it's also really short. And odd. There's not a lot of places in the game where we have the opportunity to climb anything. Apart from this screen, I'm kind of struggling right now to feel if there was to think about if there's any other place where you can climb that is in the first disc. But when we climb, we reach Nest. It's said that there is a giant demon bird who nests here. Let's get ourselves topped up, and we're going to do something with the skills that some of the characters have, because this fight is going to be something that we need to work through. Going to take a bit. Going to take some careful things. We got Energy Sword way back in the drift there. Energy Sword is Claude's healing ability. So he can heal himself, and Rena can heal others. I kind of want an Energy Sword to be on there, not because he's going to use it, but because I don't want him to use something else. Ashton, for this fight, frankly is going to be useless, because none of his abilities are going to actually hit the enemy. You'll see why when we actually get into it. So it really doesn't matter what he has. He's not going to use anything. And even if we were in control of him, if we were to use the abilities there, they're just not going to work. Get my last reverse doll back to Claude, and every bit of defense helps. Let's give that talisman. What else? Pretty much good at that point. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing I did with Diaz. Put these skill points into Perseverance. So I'm going to give more strength to Claude. At least another 100. And then 10 more Constitution. Just a little bit more defense. Every little bit helps. I think I'm going to hold off, because I could go into herbal medicine and make berries a little bit more effective, but I think I'm going to hold off on that. Do the same thing with Ashton, just so they're a little bit more viable, because when it comes to this fight, Ashton and Claude are going to be taking the hits, and I want them to be able to take more than one. I was thinking about doing combat skills, but I'm going to hold off on those. All right. To the nest. Nobody's home. Yeah, someone. Try something. Try something really, really cool. I love that it's all in capital letters. Yora and Orylen don't get to have their names in capital letters. But Xine, absolutely capital letter territory. And presumably knows the spoken language. Because I don't think this is just a conversation between Xine and Yora and Orylen, who are now in the ability of possessing Ashton. Well, by the end game, we'll be able to do some pretty good things. But yeah, I'm no giant demon bird who looks like I'm clad in armor.
This is cruel.
Concentrate.
I don't think Claude said this. I think it was either Ashton or Claude who said, this is cool. I'm like, I think this is cruel. So, fighting Xine. Xine is a flying enemy. The first thing you kind of want to do with this is have Rena and Xine be on opposite sides of the battlefield. You don't want everybody to be clumped up. So, the thing with Xine is that he's flying. Ashton has no aerial abilities whatsoever, so he's not going to be using any special abilities whatsoever. Claude is going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting with Head Splitter, because that is going to hit him relatively effectively. The biggest attack that Xine is going to do, apart from randomly doing attacks that are really just not telegraphed, is Master Attack. Master Attack does heavy amounts of damage, and also has the potential to poison your characters as well. Master Attack only works on a... Oh boy. Already lost the... Great, already lost the reverse stall at this point. Master Attack only works... Oh wow, that's a really good still right there. Just completely in flames. That's awesome. Only works on an x-axis. So it works from like right to left or left to right. And that's kind of how this fight overall kind of works. Is you kind of want to be on either the right of Xine or the left of Xine in order to attack him. And if they ever get close to any one of your spellcasters, move them out of the way. Like, Xine does not need to be dealing with any of this stuff now. If Rena's not healing, Rena is casting Ray, which thankfully she is doing. But Xine is absolutely on energy arrow duty with this one. All for interrupting Xine as much as possible, because otherwise he's just going to constantly be using Master Attack and just keep hitting Claude and Ashton until they're dead, and we don't want that. It can be a slow fight, because this is one of the biggest hurdles so far if you haven't moved on to the continent of Liqueur yet. Especially when it comes to managing NP. So just like with the Nightmare, you might want to consider using those fairy glasses if you have it. And this time, not using the fairy glasses on Xine, but using them on Claude specifically, because Claude is just going to be constantly using Head Splitter. Head Splitter does a lot more damage than a regular attack there, and it's more likely to hit.
I guess this is it.
The only chance that it's probably not going to be hitting Xine is if you are either ahead or in front of Xine or behind Xine. Because there's something about the hit detection of just enemies in general from the foreground and the background that just doesn't click or work as effectively. But that is just the relationship between having two-dimensional characters on the three-dimensional plane. It's not going to work out. It's not going to pretty much cooperate as well as people think that it should. It's very novel. It still is. But it's just not a perfect system. Once you get that in motion, you just have to make sure that people are topped up. And sometimes, depending on how clumsy Ashton gets, you might want to control him and just make sure that he doesn't go down because of needless decisions that the AI does. Did I use the right person? Oh, I used Girl, good. I was going like, I thought I used Cure Light and just clicked too fast. Because Cure All is just really good at this point because it's nearly like a complete heal for everybody in the party. That'll change soon enough, unfortunately. But hey, if you have Cure All, that is a godsend. Literally. It's got the religious imagery and everything. Do want to use that for Celine, though. Because I do want to save that last Fairy Glass for Claude if need be. Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, it ran out for Claude. Because again, Head Splitter uses 9 MP every time you use it, and if you're constantly spamming it, you realize that, like, oh, you've run out very quickly. What to do? Okay. What to do is... yeah. Brenda needs the MP so she can continue healing. Yay! We did it!
That was okay.
Excellent. That can go very rough if you're not coordinating your character.
My strength!
And we get another Lunataplet from it. So that is a really good thing to drop as well. Demons and humans cannot coexist. But now the dragons have friends. My mere presence is terrifying. I'm sure that there's someone out there who would absolutely love having a giant demon bird as a friend. You just have to get off these mountains. Because again, giant demon bird who wants a friend. That is artwork that probably is made somewhere, and I'm not going to go looking for it. Kind of a missed opportunity in terms of the voice gallery is since Gyora and Orylen can possess Ashton and kind of control him, that there could have been additional lines for a possessed Ashton to kind of talk through. But even in further material, Ashton's voice really doesn't change all that much. Like, they could have put a filter on it, but I understand why they wouldn't, because that would have been rather silly. Like, you're possessing him, you would be using his voice, not really substituting for anything else. We have done so much in order to do the job. Are we getting cold feet about doing it? The last thing we have to do is just head back to where this whole thing began. Ugh, you're in a rough shape getting down these mountains. Did anybody bring the book? No? Did anybody write down the words to the chant? No? Well, hopefully your memory is really good. And if you were expecting a different song here, no, you don't get to have those. What a silly thing. Do you expect to have additional effects happening around Ashton during the ceremony? No. We don't get to have nice things here. If we weren't on this adventure, you would have never dealt with me at all. Well, seeing as how in one circumstance you would just force yourself on us. And at least Xine was kind of obvious, was kind of honest with it. It's like, look, if we didn't actually care, we would have ditched you a long time ago, which we also had the ability to do. Nope, that's not the name. It's not a run. Try that again. Dang it. And so, after doing this side quest, in this timeline, we do get the 3 of them as our 4th party member. A lovely, lovely adventure. Getting a wonderful fan favorite. Sorry, Orylen. Sorry for getting cut out of the piece there. But now that we have him, let's do a little bit more with him, as well as 2 other members of our party next time with some private actions. See you next time, everyone.